Okay, let's start adding the class to our scene. Right now, I just have one scene called head with the class. I'll use this to add the class. So the prop here is just only the decoration prop. We'll just simply move it into the collection prop. Then when we have the prop, just simply, okay, but actually we have the prop, right? So I just delete the old one and rename this one. Then I will set it to be untouchable, and that's it. The prop is in the scene. We cannot click it. So let's add a new collection outside of the prop, maybe under the scene, and call it glass. With the glass here, we actually have the floor. Do we have the floor here? The floor, nope. So I'll just simply remove this one and just under the glass, click on it to make it active. Cursor is at the origin by Shift C. Let's turn on the screencast key. Okay, make it a little bigger for maybe first A, B. Okay. Let's just Shift A and add the plane. The plane will represent the glass of us. So when I create the plane, I opt to apply the scale. I'll just shift Control A and apply the scale. For now, this is gonna be our glass landscape. There are several ways to add the glass. By default, you could just go to the particle and create a new particle system and create the hair. To have the better particle, you can also use a texture with the alpha map and replace the emitter that's gonna place the object around the scene with the alpha map. This is also another technique. Either technique is okay. It used the original Blender particle system. Right now, however, Blender just introduced a new system called Geometry Node, and we'll try to add this right away to our scene. Right click on the object and you notice that there are no option to add the particle system or quick effect anymore. To add it, you need to go to object, and then there is the under the quick effect there will be a quick fur, quick explode, quick smoke, and quick liquid. These are okay as well, but if you just simply go to the add and go to the curve, there will be a curve system that use Geometry Node. The empty hair will not have the curve, but the fur, it will create the curve system that already ready with the fur. We'll use this fur instead. So we need to select one of the mesh object and then go to add under the curve, select the fur. So a lot of hidden button to add the features in it. Right now you have the curve. To know that why the curve is just so small, you see, because if I check the measurement of my mushroom, it's just 4 meters, and when you check the measurement of the fur created from this system, it's just 1.5 meters. So you need to make sure that the model you're working with is in the right scale. People say you can go stylized, but in the end, if the scale is wrong, you have a lot of confusing results. So in this case, I will just stick to this one, but if you want the hair to have a little more consistent result with your visuals, maybe you need to scale your object properly. This is 4-meter building. So when I already have the plane with the fur is the let's say the object with the curve with the modifier of the geometry node that have the set hair curve, interpolate hair curve noise, frizzle hair curve, surface deform. This is what generate the curve or the hair of the particle system. So if I go to the interpolate hair curve, you're gonna see that this is the property that set the hair into our system. For the set hair curve, actually this is the side control of our hair. It just controls the radius on each the curve that generated. So if I increase it by 0.001, this is the original perhaps, and if I just change it into 0.01, and if we go to the render, you notice that the size or the adjustment on here does not influence much, but you notice that there is something on the floor, right? So let me go back to here, and let's say I don't click on anything, and I just adjust the number results on the radius here. Under the material preview or under the render, you notice that the results are actually appear in the render viewport. So let's try to change into like 0.01 and very small, 0.1. You notice that the tree become much more bigger. Since the scale in my scene is very small, so that's why this is the radius did matter in a way that it creates a small triangle. So to control the length of the hair, you will need to add the asset on the asset browser. Go to asset browser here and select the essential. The essential is the default asset browser by the Blender. In this case, there is the setup for, let's say, trim hair curve. It just allows you to trim or scale the hair based on a certain length. Drag it to the plane so that it control the height of the hair. We're going to use it to simulate the glass, so that's why we need to increase the length based on this one. So there are other options such as duplicate the hair, but we go to it later on. So right now I have the hair popping up. We can control it based on the length here, so you can control the length down to like 0.17. Let's see if I go back to the solid viewport. You notice that you can grow the gizmo of the hair here accordingly. And then if you want to use the hair profile, you go to the render viewport, and you notice that 0.05 might create the more better shape, or maybe even 0.02. And since the length are controlled by this system, if I have a high length, for example the 1 meter length, you notice that I grow the hair, and if you have enough length, the hair will look a little bit more realistic, because hair the grass in the real world, it just grow randomly. It bends sometimes it goes straight. So 0.75 perhaps, and it might match the visual that I have, but maybe a little lower, 0.5. In this case, the density of your hair are controlled by the interpolate air curve. You can control the interpolation guide the point on the curve that it created. More point mean more let's say more smooth curve, and the density here allow you to add the density straightforward. If I change it to 1, you see that this is the random distribution of density 1. So they set it for like 20 approximately from the system for me. I think it's almost dense enough, but you can still see the floor. So if you want to texture pen on the floor, you can also just simply grow the hair, and maybe it's gonna blend with the floor color like a soil or dirt. But if you simply want to have the hair dense enough so that it cover the floor, there is a duplicate hair curve, which when you drag on it, the floor will have like a duplication of every hair that exists in its system. So in the duplicate hair curve here, every hair it creates 10 more. So you can reduce the viewport amount so that you didn't see the hair that are getting duplicated. You see it when you actually render. Reduce this up and down to control the densities of the scene if your computer cannot even handle it. You can change the radius, which when I increase more radius, you're going to see that the children that generated from the duplication, it's going to expand out around the center of the original hair. So when you duplicate, always make sure you expand the radius. Don't simply use the default, because it's a solid copy of the original hair. In this case, I kind of satisfied with the hair cover all the floor, but still the length is what I'm concerning, because it is too high. In fact, let's reduce into 3.5. Okay, a little more better. And if you want to introduce the fuzziness, or let's say the randomness to the hair, there is an option for the hair curve noise and frizzle hair curve. If I decrease the factor of the frizzle hair curve, you can see that it become more a little straight line, but more factor mean it a little bend out and bend in randomly. So a good parameter to create bunches of grasses. And if you just go to the hair noise, reduce the noise to 0 and frizzle to 0, you kind of a little guarantee to have a very straight line hair out of the four like this. So normal introduce the randomness in distance, shape, and scale. And if you add more random, it's gonna become more long, short. And if you add more frizzle, it's gonna bend or kind of add a little more randomness to it. So you play around it until you see the right result. And if you move the seed, it's just like you change a random algorithm so that it does not create exactly the same result with every file you have. I'll just save the file first, because it tends to crash very often. You can save increment if you're gonna try something new with the next step. So I save increment another time here. Next, we will try to set the material to this hair. So we'll go to the shader editors, and in this case, every hair comes with the fur materials. But if you want to at least back up the fur material or create a new one, just simply a new material here, make a new copy, and this is gonna be hair for the grass. So I will just set a grass material hair. We use cycle because cycle support the principal hair BSDF. So in the EV that we didn't have that option yet. But if you set the EV with the principal BSDF, let's change to EV for now and set allow the use node. With the principal BSDF, you can set the color on the hair. It will look like a chunk of weighted colors or a noise of the hair. I mean, it's useful to show like a grass in the Archivist design if you want to play around with the real time, right? But with the EV using the alpha map with the transparent texture and proxy with the far distant object might be more realistic. In this case, I will change the mode to cycle, because it kind of show out the final result in much more acceptable, or let's say the quality is a little bit better in my perception. You can play with the roughness or add the roughness to make it less effective, and hair can even be metallics. But if you want to use the hair feature in cycle, there is also a better node. It's called principal hair BSDF, not the hair BSDF. It is the algorithm that follow up with the current animation with the fur. Of course, grass is not the fur, but if you connect the BSDF to the surface, you're gonna see that it play with the light reflection in much more interesting way. If I go to the world setup, let me set the world setup. I use the sky texture with the background with the Nishita setting, and I can just simply add another let's say add another sky texture and add the mix node, mix shader. I'm gonna mix two options together and set it into the surface instead. And in this one, I can rotate the elevation a little bit so that it has more influence from two Nishita-san, and one of them will have kind of more intensity than the rest. Alright, so in this case, let's get back to our object. And in this case, there are two algorithms for the direct coloring. You notice that from the Chiang model, the roughness and the hardness of the hair is a little bit more observable. If you increase the roughness, you will notice that it becomes like a dry hair, like a dry food for your cattle. But if you add a little more roughness, it could be a very reflective and very oily hair. But in this case, you can change the color from the direct coloring, for example, into the blue, if you select a little pastel green, you can create the very easily to observe green hair like this. So play around with the roughness until you get the right dryness. And in this case, there is also another option called melanin concentration. Melanin concentration is just like our human hair. So if we have more melanin, it become black or a little red. But if we have less melanin, we bronze our hair until it turn white. If you want to have the dyed grasses or kind of the golden grasses, the melanin concentration is also the useful option that you can use. It comes with a roughness similarly, so you can increase a little more roughness, right? 0.7 to make a little bit more dry, and you can even tint the color similarly. So I can even tint it like blue, for example, and you're gonna see that it will not just become pure blue. So it depends on the melanin and control of the calculation. So use the direct colorings could be easier for you. Since we have the color node here, let's open on it. It received the color code, right? So we can even insert the color lamp to it. And with the color lamp here, we can just assign the first color to be the color of evergreen, and another one is also another color of evergreen, and make the first one a little darker by dragging down and connect the color to here. We can also hold control and left click and add a little bit more yellowish into the shade. In this case, we can also use the shade here to help ramp the color, which means if you can calculate the calculation of the any factor here that's gonna be converted in the color lamp, you can even control how the hair are shaded. For now, I will just simply experiment with the input. Let's try the input like point info, particle info, UV map. Let's say camera data. When you press O with the node wrangler, you're gonna see that there are there are different input. Not this one, please. Maybe the curve info is strand. Nope, we cannot do anything with it, right? So length, maybe we can use the length, and if we play around, you're gonna control the length. If we change this to east, you might have more distribution, and you can even use simply a random, and you can see that the yellows and the outer part appear to be here. If you have more green and more bright green, you see the yellow in the middle shade. And in this case, I just simply tell you that you can also use anything to simply control the color lamp, and you can create a new variation of the color set. You can even create a new set of the color lamp and simply repeat the equation with the red, with the orange, and reuse it if you need it. For example, this way. So you can switch it if you feel like maybe you need more control. So you can even reroute this one if you need it. But for now, I will just simply tell you that we're going to use the green like this. Then let's try to render it. If you don't want to see the hair, you can just simply turn the eye off, and it will save a lot of time. Or otherwise, with the plane here or with the curve here, under the modifier for the hair curve, there is also the amount from the viewport 1 mean 100%. So if you want to just make it less CPU oriented, just use like 0.1 to reduce the CPU load, or you can even turn it off from the viewport like this. 0.01 is just 1% of every hair you got, so you kind of understand that there is a hair here, but when you render, you just render with 1. So if I were to render, I'm gonna set the render to be very low, like 124 sample, and the threshold like 0.001, and limit the time to render for like 5, 5 seconds. We don't want longer than that, and we can just set the output to be like 33% of original expected viewport. Whenever you test something in the render, I will render small and with the weak option. And you see, right now I just render it with 1 second and half 60 milliseconds. We can see the overall result. We might want to make it a little bit more thick, or we might want to adjust the node depth. Whenever you render, you notice that the window of the render have the slot. So if I'm gonna test the new render, I'm gonna select slot 2, and then maybe adjust the profile here to be like 0.035, and when I click render again, the slot 2 will be added with the new results. Compared to the slot 1, it just look a little bit more denser and harder, so not much difference. So I will not play around with this, but this might be a good result that you want. Then when you are satisfied, you can go back and maybe change it into 100%, or if you want to have a better lighting, you might want to increase the max sample here, or allow more time limit. The time limit is the best thing because it can reduce the time that it takes to render, and we will use whatever we have with the denoise algorithm. In this case, we kind of know how to use the hair to create the very easy grass. Let's try a little bit more feature until we conclude this video. With the plane here, we have the mask texture ID map. In this case, we can also use the texture to guide how we're gonna populate the hair. So if this is the plane, and then I will just set the viewport amount to zeros. I'm gonna hide the prop, let's say having it. Select the object and maybe go to the solid view, and select the texture pen. With the texture pen here, we're gonna go to the texture slot, and we're gonna set it to single image. So we're gonna pen single image that map on this object. Let's create new, and maybe ID mask glass, and the resolution here depend on what we want, but maybe 1024 might be the best, and the color that default is black with 1 alpha. So let's create the new image here. Everything is black, and if I use the tool in the texture pen, in active tool, usually it should be the brush, right? If I have no idea of what could I pen, I could just simply try to pen the white around some area, and maybe around here, right, like this. We have no idea what white mean and what black mean, so we will try to simply use black and white like this. If it's gonna have any significance, I mean, we have no idea. And when we already finished the pen, we're gonna click save all images, so that inside the buffer here, we already have the image in here. If we pack this with the file, it's gonna come with the file, or otherwise you can just simply save it out as the buffer file. So let's go back to our object mode, and then go back to the viewport shading. If I go to the curve, and this time I change the viewport density to 1, you're gonna see your old new, sorry, not old and new, your grass set here. And if we select the mask texture to use the ID mask, you notice that the white indicate the area that it will multiply the UV with 1. Anything multiplied with 1 is mean positive, right? Anything multiplied with black, it means 0. So you can pen a patches based on this texture. If you already have the texture, very simple. Let me see. All right. Let me just simply pack it with the file, so that okay, it's already packed, fortunately. And I'm gonna change the image editor to the pen. With the pen here, I just have the tool in the different windows. So let's just simply image and invert the image colors. And you see we have the white here. So let's use the black to pen here, and simply save it, and the patch just get updated. in real time. So this is the benefit of using the texture, which means I can use the white to roughly paint, and with the weak colors here, have the weak patches that connect the bunch like this. And I could just simply have the black colors and just paint the weak soft spot around here, maybe or black here. So this is how we control the glass with the mask, and you can simply save it. Let's render it for the one final time, maybe 256 this time, but I still don't want to wait more than 5 seconds. So let's just simply render the image just for fun. And always render small, as we already discussed it. And very nice. So if you want to make a simple scene with a glass, this is the simple curve system that let you do it with ease. Play around to find the best result, or maybe follow up the tutorial on the internet based on this knowledge. It would help you a lot. So bye now, and see you later.